talk about the '95 team because there's some pretty distinct things you remember from that team. You know, started with losing all the kids that we had, which was, you know, I think we finished, what, 12th in the state that year, ranked in the Star Ledger after '94 season.
Yeah,
we had all those kids.
And
we got all those kids getting, you know, Division I AA scholarships and having to go through all that process and then coming back. And I remember that year going over to New Providence to scrimmage and getting the crap kicked out of us and saying, wow, this is not going to be a, you know, we're going to have to battle a little bit for this, you know. Well, I remember that.
The thing that jumped out at me about '95 was that, you know, you know, it's always nice to win a championship, but we were too deep in '94. We never had to worry about if somebody, you know, if somebody got nicked up, we had somebody to put in there. We were completely two platoon, and the special teams were altogether different than we lost almost every one of those kids, and we come back with a bunch of really first-time players and a lot of young kids, Scotty being one. But, you know, knowing Scotty was a winner, he had never been in a situation where he lost. I mean, when he played for Market, they won every year there. But the thing about it is that nobody figured you were going to win too many games. And I said, you know, that's probably, to me, is the fact that they just kept fighting, and we get down to we're 3 and 4 at the cutoff. And we're playing DePaul, who's averaging over 30 points a game. Yeah. They're undefeated. They got the best rushing back in the league at that point.
Yeah, he was.
And we go beat them. We didn't just beat them. Yeah. We beat them. I think it was 21-7. Right?
And we were on the phone, I think, the Thursday night, because we played on Saturdays. And then the Thursday night we were on the phone, and, you know, that's when they let 4 teams in, not 8. Yeah. And we had the PowerPoints figured out. Here's a 7-0 DePaul team. And I think I called Bobby and said, you know, if we beat these guys, we're in the playoffs. He goes, really? I said, yeah, I got to figure it out. I don't think there's no chance that we couldn't be. My favorite Scott Brown story that year was down at Passaic Valley. We were playing Passaic Valley, won the state championship that year, and they had a really good football team. And, you know, Scott had never lost in his career. We had started out, we won the first game of the year, and second game of the year we're down in PV, and Chet Polavecchio was the coach there now. He's with the Tennessee Titans now. And we threw a pass late in the game. You know, we're running the offense, and Scotty laid up a perfect ball, and Damian Garcia, I remember that for a fact, just out of his reach. And it was a home run touchdown, and that's how we lost the game. And I'll never forget having to going on the bench, and Scott was still, I think he still had his mouthpiece in, about 20 minutes after the game, and we're loaded up on the bus, and he's the last guy. He had never lost a football game. He didn't know what it was like to lose a football game. And, you know, I had to talk him into getting on the bus. You know, you can't keep playing.
I remember Scott being tough, you know, if he threw an interception, the guy that intercepted the ball was in trouble, right? But we go over to Morris Catholic, who at that time had a pretty good team, and he gets a late hit, lights him up. I'm holding Danny Hofflinger back from going across the field. He's yelling at and Scott's over like this.
And he was out. I think he wouldn't have played if he'd be done for the year.
He's done. So I said to Mark, well,
we put Benedetto.
Yep. Yeah. So I'm going, he's done.
He was done.
But he gets back in the game.
Two plays later. Because the ball he threw that he got knocked out on was to Matt Green.
Right.
They had no safety, and we threw the ball over the middle, and Matt made a nice catch. He wasn't the fastest kid in the world, and they caught him. They caught him down by the goal line. And Scott's knocked out. I mean, the crowd's watching the game, and Scott's on the field. I mean, and we get him off the field, and we get him on the bench. We put Ray in for the first play, or 2 plays later, Scott's in the game and throws a touchdown pass.
So, you know, that was the nature of the beast of that team. That's why when Steve asked me about that, I said, you know, that to me, you know, you go 11-0 the year before, but then you got a bunch of young kids who come back. And the best part of it was the playoffs. It was the best part.
Yeah, it was.
We go over to New Providence. Frank goes, the scoreboard's not working.
Yeah, and Frank, now that's the same New Providence team that when we went over in early September to scrimmage them, just kicked the crap out of us. We looked like a JV team. Yeah. So we get in the playoffs, and of course we played them in the first round, and they were 9 or 10-0 at the time.
We're the best kicker in the state of New Jersey.
Yeah, because that gets better after that. Yeah. But how we beat them was pretty funny. Is that we had practiced 5 wides for the first time ever.
We used it all. It was like we used it. We had it in, but we
never
didn't
used
really
it.
use
We
it.
never showed it. We never used it during the course of the season. And they were more physical than we were. They were a pretty veteran team, a lot of seniors, and we had a lot of sophomores. So after the first two series, it was pretty evident that we weren't going to be able to do what we normally do. They were bringing guys off the edge. They were getting the Scotty. So we went 5 wides, and for the first time, and just because we had nothing to lose. We're 4-4. They're 10-0. We had absolutely nothing to lose. So we go 5 wides, and it's the greatest thing in the world because you can watch Frank Patone, who's one of the greatest coaches. His safety goes like this to him on film, and he goes like this back to him because they had absolutely no answer for what we were doing, and really.
That's when we put in the little screen to Matt.
Yeah, a little screen, yeah.
Because they were bringing the ends off, so we were 5. We bring him in motion, and he chipped that guy, and we throw the screen. We must throw, and we drove right down the field. And the best part of it was, as I said, when Frank goes, "We don't have scoreboard's not working."
So they
I go, "Hey, your field. What are we gonna do?" So Mike Myers, who was coaching with us at the time, they got this.
They returned a kick. We scored, make it 17-14.
But through the whole game, especially near the end of the game, Mike Myers is walking with the little referee who's keeping time.
Keeping time.
He's got it like this. So we drive down late in the game. We score to go ahead. We kick off to them, and they drive right down the field.
And they're on the 5-yard line before you can blink.
Yes, yeah.
They got 1st and goal on the 5, but we don't have a clock. So we have no idea what's going on with the clock.
And
so,
they have no timeouts.
Yeah,
Right?
and no, 17-15,
Yeah.
and they have no timeouts.
Right.
And so instead of them running out, kicking a field goal, and winning, 18-17, they take 2 shots at trying to score. Well, they take 2 shots at trying to score, and they didn't block Eric Usinowicz.
Good.
They forgot about him twice, and now they have two plays, 2-yard loss. So now it's 3rd down, and they run the kickoff. They run the field goal team out. Now the clock's running. They kick the field goal.
Place goes crazy.
He says to me, "I guess we just lost." And I looked down and I said to him, "I don't know if
Myers-
we did," because Myers is jumping up and down.
He's got the guy running him out in the field because
The
the
clock
guy
expired.
because the guy's blowing the whistle,
Yeah, the clock got expired.
and we're standing like this.
Yeah.
And
He goes, "If we lose," I said, "I don't know if we did."
so Myers is jumping up and down. He drags the guy in the field. Next thing you know, they rule that the time had run out.
Yeah.
And then Frank Batone goes
Crazy.
nuts.
Yeah.
He's not me. He's going.
Bob got hate mail for like 3 weeks.
So,
Yeah, it kept
so
coming.
Frank comes to me and he's screaming, "This is ridiculous." I go, "Hey, your field, your scoreboard, and I didn't hire the officials."
Yeah.
That's what I told him. I said, "And you ran the ball twice where you could have kicked it with that kid that doesn't ever miss." And then we go up, who we're playing in the finals? Madison, who beat us during the regular season.
John Davies.
John Davies.
John was head coach, and he did a great job there,
Yeah.
And during the season, actually, they beat us pretty good. I mean, they hit us pretty good, like 30-14 or something like that during the season. They were a pretty physical team, and John was running to Delaware, and they were good. And that's who we played in the finals. And
in
pretty
that
good
game,
football
Scott Brown was no longer a sophomore.
No, he had grown up then.
He made some plays.
Offensively and defensively.
And offensively, we were much better. The kids kind of matured at that point, so it was good. And then I remember going up in the stands, and Jack was up in the stands, and he said, I heard him talking, and I think Frank was there too, and they were about the game, and I just looked at him again. I said, "Ran it twice, your clock, your officials," and I just kept going. And that was the end of that discussion.
Frank got his revenge, though, because in 03 at our place, when we played him during the regular season for a couple of days, we drove down the field and we tried to kick a field goal at the end, and the ball went in his hands. And we lost 23-20. That's how we lost the game. So Frank got his revenge.
Yeah.
That was and that was at our place. That was a good time. But that team got better all year long. The seniors on that team were pretty good. There wasn't many of them.
Yeah.
Benedetto and Post and Green and all those kids. They just didn't want to lose. They didn't want the season to end. And we had good leadership that year. Ray and Greeny and those kids were good. They were good leaders. They really were. They were good leaders. And Ray Benedetto was the only player really that we had coming back that year that had actually played.
Yeah.
He was actually on the field in '94. None of those other kids really played. They were, backup junior JV kids really to that great team. And the only kid that really actually played and contributed in '94 was Benedetto. So it was really tough. Some of those kids were seniors starting for the first time, but they were good kids, and they just didn't want to lose. And that's what I remember the most about that team. And you know, and you know, all these years later, you know, we have a championship and championship rings to say 95 on them, and nobody asks you your record.
Yeah.
You know, the record doesn't matter. You know,
No.
you win. You know.
Yeah, we go